Good morning, everyone. This is Joshua Edmonds, the Director of Digital Inclusion at the City of Detroit. And here, we're going to have a fireside conversation about Digital Inclusion Week, specifically with an emphasis on Connect 313 and Human IT's commitments to the local ecosystem. And I'm joined by the co-founder and CEO of Human IT, Gabe Middleton.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Josh. I'm really excited to be here at DSDT. What a beautiful location, especially turning into something that maybe had negative connotations in the past into something so beautiful and positive. So really excited to be here in this location and in the city of Detroit at large. So thank you for the introduction. As Josh mentioned, I'm Gabe Middleton, the co-founder and CEO at Human IT. And what we do at Human IT is we basically create opportunities for folks who are left on the wrong side of the digital divide. And what that means is, we connect folks to low-cost computer devices, broadband connection services, technical support. Even after these folks get some of the resources and the technology at home, we're still there to support them via tech support services, as well as digital literacy training. So we're really excited to be here in Detroit officially. Really looking forward to a long-lasting relationship with the city and Connect 313, the Connect 313 program. And I just can't tell you how excited I am to be here, right? As I was reflecting on what Connect 313 is, I was really thinking about how awesome the program truly is. It represents quite an audacious idea, right? To shrink the digital divide in a city like Detroit, it's going to take a lot of work, right? And it's going to take a lot of collaboration and creativity if we're truly going to make a difference here in this city. And when I thought about what Connect 313 represents in audaciousness, creativity, and collaboration, that's exactly what Human IT is, as I was reflecting on it. And that's something that we truly value. It's those three values are some of our guiding values. It's something we talk about at our organization every day. So I know that Human IT's values and what it is that we stand for are going to blend perfectly with Connect 313, and we can't wait to showcase that. But again, it's going to take a lot of hard work, right, to shrink the digital divide. It's going to take a lot of collaboration between Human IT and community-based organizations. Some of them are represented here. Really excited to meet this group and looking forward to partnering with you guys into the future and making an impact in our community here. But we have a lot to learn, right? And like I said, meeting this panel here and learning from you guys and understanding that you guys have been here for quite some time and we're the newbies in the city. So we're here to listen, right? We're here to listen to you guys about what the folks truly need here when it comes to getting digitally equipped. And we want to definitely play our part by really providing our services of hardware, broadband connection, digital literacy training, and technical support, and just support this group any way we can. So looking forward to working with everyone here. But it takes a lot more than just community-based organizations working together, right? It really truly does take a village. And so I would be doing a disservice if I didn't call out some of our financial partners, and one in particular, General Motors Foundation. Really been a great partner from day one. Really focuses on finding innovative solutions to make a difference in their community. So I really want to thank General Motors Foundations for being such a great partner. Also the Quicken Loans Community Fund, also been a great partner from day one. It's really awesome to see all of their commercials. Even in LA, I've seen some commercials about Connect 313 and how Quicken Community Fund is playing a part there. So they've been a truly great advocate for digital inclusion. So I want to thank them as well. Also the McGregor Fund and Craig Newmark's philanthropies, vital to allowing Human IT to be here in the city of Detroit. And then last but not least, the Detroit Public School Foundation, such a staple in this community, and really glad to be a partner of theirs, and really also looking forward to learning a lot about what they think digital inclusion means here in the city of Detroit. So a lot to learn, lots of work to do, and we're really looking forward to that. And I know last but not least, we did make a 500 laptop donation yesterday. something we should really celebrate, and I'm really excited about. That's 500 families who now have access to technology to where maybe they didn't have that before. And especially in the coronavirus days, right, in this pandemic, it's really put a spotlight on digital inclusion. And I think the whole country now understands how important it is to have these digital tools, in their home so they can continue to learn and stay educated, access telehealth, or just stay connected with family and fight loneliness. So digital tools are here to really help anybody achieve whatever it is, whatever goal they have in mind. So these tools are more important than ever. So we have a lot to celebrate. Now 500 families have access to this, but after the celebration, we have a lot more work to do, and we're looking forward to doing our part here and being a part of Connect 313. We're completely thrilled, and we're excited to get to work.
Well, Gabe, one, that is a fantastic rundown of human IT, and I want to highlight one of the things that you had touched on, because there was a point on values. And we look at Connect 313, Connect 313 has specific values, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but two of them that are really important, that are germane to this discussion. One, we are locally led and expertly informed. And so as we have local leadership sitting here juxtaposed with an expert here, this is our way of highlighting those values in action. And then the other one is that we progress at the speed of trust. And so when we're looking at our partners here, this is a foundation of trust that we're building, trusting that we're going to be able to rectify the digital divide within our community and do it in a way that's actually sustainable. But enough from me. Really want to hear a little bit more from our panelists. So we're going to go down starting with Carlos. For each of you to be able to just introduce yourself and talk about the role that you do in a more broad fashion. Carlos?
Okay, so first I can't begin unless Gabe actually gives me a script, right?
You're in trouble.
Right. So, Carlos Harris, Chief Operating Officer of DSDT. And our organization is more or less, we're the boots on the ground entity, right? We are the educators here in a community that wouldn't have otherwise access to the technology industry. So what does that look like? That means that we have individuals who come to us and they may not have any fundamental technology skills. And so once we can get them abreast of the digital literacy, then it's our hope that we would be able to connect them to employment opportunities in the sector. We train in everything from film production to graphic design, drone technology, 3D animation, digital marketing, and then information technology, A+ all the way up to what we like to call cybersecurity. And so we understand that there's more employment opportunities for our everyday residents in this sector that would give them some form of stable or stability in their everyday lives. So many times the individuals who come to us, they're in what we like to consider a second or a third phase of their career paths. We're not necessarily dealing with the 17 and 18-year-olds necessarily, but we're more akin to the 25 to 44-year-olders. And the hope is that as we continue to train here in Detroit, that each individual, the lives that we're touching, they will be inspired to do something outside of what traditionally they've been accustomed to. Production, retail, janitorial, things that I, for one, when I, began coming to Detroit, I wanted to do something other than those skill sets. Those were the only things that I was told that I could do. And in fact, the more and more I got acclimated with technology, the more and more other opportunities opened for me. You're talking about, we are an institution that we have one diploma program, all the other programs are certificates. And because of those certificates, our students are finding mainstays in the industry where they otherwise wouldn't have. We have students that are working at cybersecurity firms. We have one instructor that came to us through a questionable background that now is a director of cybersecurity for the Ford Foundation. So if not for DSDT or organizations and partnerships like ours, these opportunities wouldn't be made available at all.
Well, thank you, Carlos, for that. Clearly, you don't need a script. This is actually coming from the heart. And so transitioning over to Cindy at Brilliant Detroit, could you introduce yourself and talk a little bit more about the work that you do?
So, thank you. I'm Cindy EGGLETON, Brilliant Detroit. I'm co-founder. Even before I get into what we do, I want to say I'm honored to be here. Everybody on this panel are people that I tremendously honor and respect. And I also want to thank the city and Human IT, because you are putting community and human in the middle of this. So we're talking about digital, but the reality is none of this should happen without people at the center, and I think that's why I'm honored to be here. So Brilliant Detroit was created to create kid success neighborhoods, and what that means are neighborhoods that kids and families have everything that they need in education, health, family support to be successful in life. And a different way to say that is we were created to assure that zip codes don't dictate a family's future anymore. And that's what we're doing. We're incredibly focused in that. In the last 4.5 years, we have grown to serve in 12 neighborhoods with over 7,000 people. And who I want to put in the center of all that are people in neighborhoods, because they form who we are, they drive the work, and they're achieving great things like improving grade level reading 2 grades, many, many things. And none of that right now can happen, and to a large extent could have happened before, without taking into account the digital divide. And it's deeper than just devices, and that's one of the things I'm glad that we're talking about. We know people, we listen, and so we hear what people need all the time. And that's who we are right now. We plan to get to 24 sites in the next 4 years so that we can actually influence population level change.
That is fantastic. And one of the things that we've been saying for quite some time is that oftentimes people look at the digital divide and they think that it's a technical problem. But it's like, no, it's a societal one. This is no different than at some point people didn't have electricity in their homes. And so this is where we have a real unique opportunity to, one, define the problem in the right way, but mobilize collectively as a community.
I totally agree, and I think that's again why I think this isn't just an effort. This is an effort that is smart, putting things where they matter, and because of that, it gives me hope. So thank you.
Fantastic. And so now we're going to turn over to Camille Walker-Banks at Empower to introduce yourself and talk a little bit more about the work that you do.
Great. Thank you for having me on this panel. I'm so excited to see some of my partners in the flesh. It's been a while. I'm Camille Walker-Banks, the Executive Director for Empower. Empower recently expanded into the Detroit market because honestly, the metropolitan Detroit area is a hotbed for technology. What we found though is that there is a large number of individuals who are not being, who don't have access to IT careers. And so what Empower's plan is, and what we are doing, is providing an IT training program for the 18 to 25-year-olds. So we have an ecosystem here of training individuals from underserved communities throughout the region, or as I like to call these communities, underestimated communities.
I like it.
But taking young people who want a shot, giving them an opportunity to break those barriers of that cause them to be in a poverty situation. We're taking young people from poverty to middle class and using IT, technology training, digital literacy to do that.
That's fantastic. And one of the things as you're talking about this, taking people from these impoverished situations and then implementing mobility programs, it's one of those things where you look at Detroit as the motor city, and now that other folks are saying, oh, we're rebranding as the mobility city. Well, we don't get mobility if we're not focusing on upward social mobility. So thank you, one, for being here, and two, for the work that you do. And now I'm going to turn over to Richard. Richard is actually someone that when I first came to Detroit, when I saw the work that he was doing and where he's came from and what he's been able to do, it's just been fantastic, and it motivated me to want to do this work even better. And so, Richard, introduce yourself and talk a little about more about the work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I respect everybody on this panel and all the work you're doing, and I feel like I'm in the right place this morning. So I'm Richard Grundy, the co-founder and CEO of Journey. We're an organization that focuses on empowering young Detroiters through tech education and entrepreneurship. So what that means is that we have a lot of courses, workshops, paid internships where we'll show youth, high school students and middle school students how to build websites, mobile applications, and then how to monetize that skill set, right? So not necessarily having to depend on a corporation to get a job after they get out of college, but how can we generate income for ourselves to kind of address some of these challenges that we have in communities. Right, so those are the programs that we do. We have a heavy focus on showing them how to freelance, how to build these websites, and also design thinking. So that we try to focus on skills that are kind of transferable to any industry outside of just the web development part. In addition to that, we try to connect them with mentors, people that can identify with them, that they can identify with, that are holding these roles in technology. It doesn't just have to be a freelance web developer. It could be a QA analyst that works at Quicken. It could be a cybersecurity professional. We try to bring a diverse group of people to kind of connect with our students because we never know which way they're really going to go, and they're just kind of testing waters at that point.
Wonderful. And one of the things that you're alluding to, or the work that your work centers on, is specifically the emphasis on kids, on youth, empowering our future. Oftentimes when we have this conversation about the digital divide, and even if we're looking at any other societal issues, people will do it in a way where it's not part of this larger pipeline. They'll want to focus specifically on doing one thing. So I might want to give computers or give internet access for 1 year or 6 months or something like that. But as we're looking at this entire ecosystem approach, where we're looking at youth, we're looking at returning citizens, we're doing this in a way where it's empowering our community in a more sustainable way and a more collaborative way. Mm-hmm. And so this is just something where it's really refreshing to hear from you all. I'm actually going to go right back to you, Carlos, when we're looking at the donation from Human IT. Because, and I'm going to ask you all this question, so
okay.
Get ready. This is not a curveball, don't worry. Well, maybe a slight curveball. But when we're looking at these devices that you are receiving, specifically, what does that mean for the Detroit School for Digital Technology?
Well, for us, all right, well, we shut down back March 19th due to COVID, right? And at that time, a large amount of our students didn't have devices. And to us, what that means is that they didn't necessarily have laptops or desktops, but they would have mobile. So I found out, over the process of a couple of weeks that this was going on. So if you look around the school in various areas, you'll actually see that there aren't any desktops. That means that we had to take literally the equipment that we had in school to make sure that our students had it. Even at that time, there were a run on different businesses. Best Buy, Walmart, you just simply couldn't find the devices, right? Even if we went online and tried Amazon and tried to order it from LA, we still couldn't get it. So these devices come even to this day at a time when we truly do need it. I just received 3 emails yesterday about students who needed devices. One student, he's actually living out his car and he's, using his mobile device still. So when we're talking about actually connecting and empowering people, it starts for us with the device to give them access, And I understand that there are a lot of human conditions and components of the educational trajectory for them. All right, we get that because we've been doing this now for roughly about 4 years here in this location. And we've seen some of the, most heart-wrenching stories, and in order for us to continue to do that work, we need partners like you guys. I remember I was speaking to one of the team members from Human IT, and they were telling us, well, we're considering you guys for a donation. And I said, well, where's this all coming from? They said, well, we've been talking to Josh. Josh? I said, okay, so I called Josh up. I said, Josh, what's going on? He said, and I was under the impression that we were being left out of the conversation. Mm-hmm. And Josh said, Carlos, don't worry about it. Your grandfather in. And to me, that meant so much, right? When you talk about DSDT and the community that we're serving, to date, I think we've trained now roughly about 300 students, right? And these students are in every walk of life. And to see them coming back now, I was telling them, we're in the process of beginning to rebrand. We no longer want to be just simply the little school in the jail now, right? Because in essence, we have students that are across the country now, right? COVID-19 actually gave us an opportunity and doors open that we would have never saw 2 years ago. You know, we're Detroit School for Digital Technology, and yet we have students in North Carolina, Florida, California, Hawaii, right? And so this has been tremendous for us. So even the devices, we specifically are making sure that those that are in the Detroit area have these, as we would like at some point for them to return back to the classes. Now, we get it. Now, some of our classes, we run these things called virtual machines. In virtual machines, you need to have at least 16 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm just giving you the specs that the instructors give me, okay, because I don't know. But needing these powerful devices, I take it from a personal standpoint that the donations that we've received, they're the gateway to getting us to where we want to be, right? It's not going to be the fancy, hippest, brightest thing, but you have no idea what that means to a person that simply needs to know, right? I know how it was for me when I was starting out. You know, I was listening to Richard. He was talking about how they're teaching the youth, you know, to be able to build websites and to be able to program. That was the gateway for me. I tried to teach myself all that using YouTube, right? And I had a computer that was a Toshiba, and it was 4 gigabytes of RAM. And I was able to train myself to now that I can sit and I can tell someone else about what they have to go to in order to be here, if that's what they so choose. Technology, I believe, is something, it has something for everybody, as opposed to simply saying that, you know, I need to be part of the blight removal team. I need to be waiting to get on somebody's construction crew somewhere. Not all of us want to do that, right? But at the same time, not all of us want to go to school for the next 4 years to learn it either. Right? So these programs are even imperative. The devices are the entryway for a lot of our community to be able to do just that.
You know, Carlos, one of the things that you actually brought up, well, several things. One, yeah, you were grandfathered in. I remember that conversation specifically. He called me, he's like, man, I haven't heard from you, man, what's up? I'm like, dude, I'm working, trust me. But one of the other things you had brought up, because this is something where I think that when we began talking about the digital divide, we have to be armed with the appropriate data to put the problem in scale. And so when you're saying that people are they're on their mobile phone, that is a reality. Specifically a reality in Detroit, where I know that roughly 22% of households are living that reality of only using a mobile phone, their only form of internet. And so this is something where at the onset, folks are saying, well, I have the internet, right? Aren't you all about, you know, expanding access to the internet to people? Like, yeah, but it's a little bit more than that. It's being able to say that maybe if you're just on your cell phone, that you might not know how to type. And so then when we're looking at workforce and productivity, this is something that it's hindering us if we don't get in front of this. So it's a real great way to hear what the devices were able to do for you, specifically with DSDT, in line with the larger growth that you are experiencing as a company. I'm going to turn this over right to you, Cindy, and ask the same question.
Thank you so much for putting me behind you. I appreciate it. So I'm gonna start with the use of the phone. But then I'm going to go to 3 points because we're using these in 3 ways. One is we know firsthand. We do serve 7,000 people and we work with both adults and children. We have programs and activities for both. I can't tell you how many of the kids and families are using cell phones to actually get onto programming that is really important, like tutoring. It hurts our hearts. And they're sharing a cell phone between 6 family members. And I don't think that everybody totally understands that and what that means and how difficult it is, but also the commitment that people in our city have to wanting to learn, wanting to do better, and wanting to not get behind. This is going to really help there. That's one of your goals, putting more devices in the hands of families. The second thing that we're doing with these, because we're going to split them, and then as you said, this is a start for us, there's so much more to do, is we're going to take a number of these and put them in each one of our community hubs. We're creating community spaces that do have access to the internet. And in fact, right now, even during COVID, along with the city of Detroit, we're opening up streets. We're doing safe streets in 3 of our neighborhoods. So people are going to be able to come and use these computers. And actually, the third thing is to have somebody help them with how to use the computer. Not even just how to use a computer, but how to set a schedule for the day, for your education, for what you're looking to do. So this means everything to us as an organization and it means even more to people and communities. It's going to stretch beyond the number that you've given us, because we're going to serve many through those community hubs, where it's a sense of community as well, and space and learning and sharing together. That's the spirit of this, and we're ridiculously grateful for this. And I want to just also say, as much as people think there have been devices put into others' hands, it's just not enough. I see that. Just to bring it home, the other day, one of our participants won an award, a really big award. We were so proud of her. She couldn't get onto the award ceremony because she didn't have a device, and she used her phone. She's going to get the first one of these computers. So I just want to bring that home.
Okay, wow. So even from a device data standpoint, and when you're saying it's not enough, I agree. I know from most recent data that 45% of Detroiters don't have a desktop or a laptop. And so when you're talking about a city of, let's just say 700,000, we'll see how we're doing in the census, but I'm going to say 700,000 plus. Well, that puts in the scope of the issue. The other thing that you're mentioning, where we were having this conversation before, specifically around diversifying our community technology assets. When we look at, and I'll actually raise a conversation that I had in Narden Park with some residents. I don't know how they tracked me down, but they were able to track me down, and they called me. It's a group of seniors, and they were like, we lost our library, and we don't necessarily have a place just for us to go experience technology. We don't really feel comfortable with having this stuff in our home because we don't fully understand it, and who's going to do that, right? And so when they were having the conversation, they're like, is there a place where just us seniors can go and just play around with this a little bit? And I'm like, well, no. If you lose your library, what is the alternative? And so seeing what you are able to do in real time, this is actually being able to meet the needs for which residents are actually expressing this. And this is where we're building this responsive ecosystem structure that can empower people, and then for whatever needs they want. As I'm going to transition to Camille, as she focuses on workforce more, well, when I'm talking to these seniors, this is a thing on well-being. And so I think that there's a really balanced effort, and it's really unique the way that you all are answering this question. It's the same question, yet how you are drawn to it it's really unique. And so transitioning to you, Camille, what do these devices mean to you, and broadly to Empower?
Oh my goodness, these devices are going to mean the world to our classes. So like Carlos mentioned, in March, we were teaching 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. And you come to a classroom and we had all of the devices there. The young people were thriving. They were getting to know the devices. They were seeing themselves as emerging technologists, and then COVID hit. And fortunately, we were able to arm a number of our students who were and it was about 30% of them didn't have access to viable electronics, Wi-Fi, and devices in their homes. And they were willing to use their telephones. It's like, no, we got another option. We're going to lend out our computers. Don't worry about it. We bought up the last 5 hotspots from Best Buy.
That's why I couldn't find them.
I was like, get them out. They only had 5 or 6 left. I bought them all, so I have a few. Actually, I don't.
We're coming for you.
But I mean, just the willingness of our students to be able to continue their education because they want this, to use their phones, and it's not viable.
Right.
I mean, 50% of the jobs nationally have a tech focus or are reliant on tech. I say that all the small businesses, large businesses, everyone in some way is a tech company, yet we have this 4,000 tech jobs available in the state of Detroit, the state of Michigan right now. And our students aren't even aware of that and not able to compete. So these devices, so now we're in our second class and we've scaled it and doubled our size. Now we're teaching virtually. So like Carlos said, now we're basically geographically agnostic. We have students coming from rural parts of the state who are taking our program, but 70% of our students are residents of Wayne County and 50% are Detroiters. Now they have an opportunity. And so now that we have 50 students, we were at 25 in the beginning, we had to scale it up, now we're at 50, and we'll probably be able to scale up even more. Devices was a deterrent. It was like, well, how do we address that? I have a social worker on staff who manages, you know, the students, help them with their mental well-being and help them open their minds. I have a internship placement manager whose charge is to find internship opportunities, because our students, after they finish their 17-week of technical training, we place them into paid internships, so we need intern partners. But it's kind of a hook for the community to give our students an opportunity. They can try them out, and now we can get rid of that whole notion or perception that there isn't a viable talent pipeline, because that's what's going to kill us in our region. I mean, people are going to continue to fly over us from New York to California, and no, we are a tech hotbed in the Detroit region. And so now we have the talent that we're educating that were largely not even considered or advocated for. I mean, 17% of the 18 to 25-year-olds in this region are unemployed and not in college. Another 15% are underemployed, so they're in these low-wage jobs, don't have access to devices. So how can they compete? How are they going to go after one of these 4,000 tech jobs, entry-level tech jobs that's available just in the state of Michigan, not to mention what's available outside? And then I hear this stat that 50% of companies that rely on tech or have a tech focus on all their jobs is going to, you know, pre-COVID, it was, you know, they said it was going to raise to 77%. Post-COVID, it's going to be even worse. So are we going to take a stand and for our students, for our community, and get them engaged now? Or are we going to wait and continue to let this inequity, this inequality, continue to just kill our spirit here in Detroit? No, that's not how we operate. We find a solution. And you mentioned, yeah, we got hard work ahead of us. Well, we've done this before. We know how to galvanize. We know how to come together as a community to address a situation. We did it in the last downturn. So now here we are again, and technology is at the forefront. And here we are as an ecosystem. I mean, we're helping young kids. Now they're getting introduced to technology and have devices. Now we have young adults who now have access to devices. Thank you so much, because it was killing us. And now we can scale it. Now we can take it to another level because we have the equipment. And then we have the older population, veterans, returning citizens, beyond. So we have the, I don't want to say cradle to grave, because that's not.
Some of us might feel more closer to the grave than others.
Cradle to opportunity.
Prosperity to opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all about, and that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to support our community with your gift.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. So y'all are stumping me, man. I mean, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I mean, you're bringing in stats from the state in this. I mean, you're really Gabe. There has to be a sense of pride here. You have to be beaming right now. I'm going to throw you a curveball in a second. However, get ready to swing. Turn it over to Richard. Richard, what do these devices mean to Journey?
They mean a lot. They mean everything. So, I, like everybody else, it sounds like in March, I think it was 13th or 12th, whenever the school was shut down is when we had to shut down.
March 13th.
You know, all of our classes shut down, and I kind of wanted to see what was going to happen. I wasn't really sure if we were going to go back or how things were going to shake out. So I didn't immediately pivot to virtual programming. But then I got a chance to just spend time with my family, talk to my friends outside of states and, you know, everywhere. And I'm hearing what their children were doing, right? And they're going to school, they're being sent iPads and laptops, and they're still going to school and things like that. And it hit me, it really hit me like a ton of bricks. And I think I shared this in our first phone call, like, wow, they still have the opportunity to learn, and my kids don't even have the opportunity to learn math and English, not let alone the coding part and you know, the other opportunities, but the core subjects, they don't have that opportunity because of computers. So it means the world to us because, number one, we had 50 paid interns last summer. Not all of them had laptops. Now they have the opportunity to have laptops and have technology. They also have laptops, like you talk about this a lot with Connect 313, that they can use these machines for other things to seek knowledge. It's a ton of knowledge on the internet. that they can seek and find out. So it means the world for our program. The other part is that I think it was 2018, we did this thing called Code Detroit. And it was it felt like what we're doing right now. It felt like this panel, right? It was a bunch of people, bunch of organizations just like Journey doing the same thing, right? And that was like our first, one of our first opportunities to kind of collaborate. And because of that, we got, we received like a donation of 100 decommissioned laptops from Quicken. And we didn't need all of those laptops. So what we started doing was we started loaning them out to other organizations like us that was doing the same work. We're a grassroots organization, so we know what it's like to try to do work without a lot of resources. And in 2019, we loaned out those 100 laptops went out 600 times to impact over 1,000 people. But in 2020, it's like now we got to pivot because people need these laptops. Before we were loaning them out to organizations, now individuals need them, right? Mm-hmm. And they may need to keep them, mm-hmm. right? Because technology now is approaching air and water, things like that. Excuse me. So because of that, this means the world that we have more technology to get out to the community, whether we're loaning them out or whether they just need that technology and they need to keep it. They can continue to kind of connect with other opportunities. And, you know, people may think of us like as tech people, and really we're like economic mobility people. Mm-hmm. That's our real focus. So it's to be able to give out that tool to more people, it means the world.
Man, yeah, this is wonderful to hear. And honestly, with Connect 313, I feel a little bit bad because it's like, you know, when people are asking us in other cities are saying, well, how do we replicate Connect 313? I'm like, can we really clone these people? I don't think so. I mean, when we're literally looking at like this, we in Detroit have a leadership problem. That's not necessarily to say that we don't have enough. I'm not saying we have too many, but we have a whole lot of leadership here. Gabe, the curveball that I'm going to throw to you, Detroit. As you all were approached by other communities as well, and you turned them down to expand to them, and you said no, Detroit. Now, as you hear people talking, it's clear why Detroit, but specifically for you, what does Human IT in Detroit actually mean?
Great question. First and foremost, I just want to say I feel so humbled hearing all these stories and hearing about the impact that these computers have made for the folks at UHop Out. So thank you so much, and I feel energized. So, you know, thank you for sharing those stories. And as much as we talk about analytics, and I will get to the question, I promise, right, about how many folks are being left behind in the Detroit community and how the digital divide has impacted the community at large via statistics, and that's very important to decision making for sure. But we also have to remember that these are individuals that we're talking about, right? These are individuals that have unique stories, whether it's be a young gentleman who's having to live outside of their car and needs just a resource, you know, to lift themselves up to find that stable housing, or a young woman who's thriving, you know, and just needs that opportunity to accept that award in front of her peers. Could have had a huge impact on her story and her life. So, you know, data and stats, in my opinion, they can often die as soon as they leave your lips, but stories are really what last forever, and it's what we really have to do a good job here in the city of Detroit. So I really, really appreciate all these stories that I heard today, because it energizes me and it energizes our organization. So thank you for that. But to go back to your question, Josh, what does it mean to be here in Detroit? It means everything to us, and believe it or not, when James Jack, who's the co-founder, and I started Human IT in 2012, it was always our ambition to be here. Right? Even before all of this mess with the coronavirus happened. I'm from LA, but James is actually from Michigan and just outside of Detroit. And so we just wanted to be a couple do-gooders and change makers and really showcase to the community, to our communities, that we can make a difference. Right? And we wanted to share our story and our journey about how we wanted to make a difference. And when we thought about that in 2012, we just wanted to share our passion of technology. Right? We're just two technologists who used our abilities to really better our personal situations, and we just wanted to share that with folks that we knew were getting left on the wrong side of that digital divide. And so this, being here in Detroit, yes, it's needed. There's a lot of other cities who have a digital divide problem for sure, but Detroit has always been close to our hearts, right? And the human IT DNA. It's because one of the co-founders is from here. So we're just here returning the favor and really following through with what we said we were going to do from the get-go.
Fantastic. And one of the things I'm going to highlight, over a decade ago, there were recommendations that were made to the then mayor that we need to focus on creating a computer operation where we could take corporate assets, take city assets, and actually refurbish those and redistribute them into the community. So this is actually something that this has been a decade in counting, a plan, and now it's coming to fruition today. And so thank you for Human IT's commitment, and for the listeners as we transition to wrapping this up. Thank you for tuning in. To get involved, it's actually pretty simple. Connect313.org. I'm very happy that website is live.
Yes.
Yes, that's been a long time coming. Connect313.org, or you can send an email to info@connect313.org. Specifically within our website, it literally says just get involved, and you can implement your email. We have various work streams that are meeting every single day. So if you want to join digital literacy and digital skilling, we have a work stream for that. If you want to look at policy ecosystem and activation, there's a work stream for that. There's one on devices and connectivity. There's one on our larger structure and governance one, where we look at the structure of Connect313 in its entirety. And there's also one on special projects. And those are those things that don't uniquely fit in any box. And so for the panelists, I also wanted to extend a thank you to each and every one of you, not just for taking your time today, but each of you have been grandfathered in your unique right for the work that you all have done within our larger community. So I want to thank you for your time and your expertise, because it's needed to move our city forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.